Hi, I'm Krishna, and I'm here to introduce you guys to Inside Men, a South Korean crime thriller film released on December 31st, 2015. It was directed by Woo Min-ho, and the main cast are Lee Byung-hun, Cho Sung-woo, and Baek Yoon-sik. Inside Men is a very dark film that explores the corruption and greed that exists at the highest levels of power and in government in South Korea. And the film tells the story of a group of criminals who try to team up to expose a major political scandal that is occurring. The film was a great success, had over $100 million at the box office. It got a lot of praise for great performances from its actors and a very suspenseful plot created by the director. Woo Min-ho is a South Korean film director and screenwriter. He is known for directing some other films called A Bittersweet Life and The King, and also Inside Men, of course. He is the master of creating suspenseful and exciting thrillers, and his films are often pretty dark and can be violent, as in this movie, but they also have a strong social message. The cast of Inside Men includes three primary people that I discussed earlier. Lee Byung-hun as An Sang-gu in the movie, the political henchman who wants revenge on the politician he used to work for. Cho Sung-woo as Woo Jong-hoon in the movie, a very ambitious prosecutor who wants to bring down this corrupt politician. And then Baek Yoon-sik acting as Lee Kang-hee, who is a journalist investigating this corrupt politician and tycoon. So with this cast, Inside Men does a very good job. They all have very powerful and excellent performances, and they all work together very well. So now for the synopsis of this movie. Inside Men tells the story of a group of criminals who team up to expose a major political scandal. The film is set against the backdrop of a corrupt political system in South Korea. So the film begins with the political henchman being caught pocketing the record of a sponsor's fund. As a result, he loses his hand. Next, the prosecutor begins to investigate the relationship between the corrupt politician and the sponsor, believing it's his only chance to make it to the top of his field. And while getting down to the details of this case, the prosecutor meets An, who has been planning that politician's revenge. And then, of course, the journalist has been working this whole time to try to figure out what's going on. So the film follows these three characters as they each try to achieve their own vision. An Sang-gu wants revenge, Woo Jong-hoon wants to bring down the corrupt system, and Lee Kang-hee simply wants to expose the truth. As they each work toward their own goals, they find themselves drawn into a dangerous game orchestrated by the corrupt politicians and tycoons who are in power. The film is an overall powerful and suspenseful thriller that exposes the dark side of corruption and how much power they have. I would recommend this movie to anyone who enjoys crime thrillers or films that explore political corruption in general. Inside Men also has a lot of historical background that is important to it, as it is mirrored off a real-life political scandal that occurred known as the Choi Soon-sil scandal. This scandal involved the abuse of power by Choi Soon-sil, who was a close friend of the president of South Korea at the time, Park Geun-hye. Choi Soon-sil was accused of using her relationship with the president to extort money from businesses and to influence government policy. This scandal was a major event in South Korea's history, and it led to the impeachment of that president and a wave of protests against corruption in South Korea. The film mirrors this scandal in many different ways. In the film, a group of criminals team up to expose this major political scandal involving the corrupt politician, and in the Choi Soon-sil scandal, Choi Soon-sil was a close friend of the president, and she used that relationship to extort money and to influence the government policy. The film also shows how the media can play a role in exposing corruption, and in the film, a journalist is the one who investigates the political scandal and exposes the truth to the public. And in the Choi Soon-sil scandal, the media played a key role in exposing the scandal to the public. The film is a very powerful thriller that exposes the dark side of this corruption, and it's a reminder of the importance to hold those in power accountable of their actions. So some specific details of how the film is mirrored in Korean history is that the film's depiction of the corrupt political system is very similar to the one that existed during the Choi Soon-sil scandal. In both cases, there was a close relationship between politicians and wealthy businessmen, and that relationship was used to make a few people rich and make a lot of people poor. Additionally, the film's depiction of the media's role in exposing this corruption is also very similar, as the media played a key role in bringing the truth to light and holding those in power accountable in real life and in the movie with the journalists. The film is very powerful and thought-provoking as it sheds light on the power and corruption there is in South Korea, and it's a film that's relevant to South Korea's current political climate, and I'm sure stayed with audiences that watch this movie. Now, I learned a lot from watching Inside Men. I learned about the dangers of corruption, greed, and betrayal that can occur when it comes to politics and business, and I also learned about the importance of journalism and media in being able to hold those in power accountable of their actions. So some specific things that I learned is that corruption is a big problem in South Korea, and I didn't realize how much until this movie and doing research about the historical background. It can even have an impact on the lives of ordinary citizens. Additionally, the media can play a very important role in exposing corruption, but it's important to be aware of the risks that journalists face when they investigate powerful people, especially those involved in corruption. And lastly, it is also important for ordinary people to be aware of this corruption, and when they are, to speak out against it. And I believe Inside Men is a powerful film that can help raise awareness of the dangers of corruption, and I'm sure that's another reason why it's stuck with audiences that watch this movie. I also learned that corruption can be used to enrich a few people while a lot of ordinary citizens are affected, and it can lead to losing faith in government and in the media if there is wrongful reporting, and it shows how corruption can be very difficult to expose and to punish if it is too far gone. Despite all of this, I still believe it is important to fight this corruption whenever it is there, as corruption is a threat to democracy and to the rule of law in general in whatever country you are in, and it's a threat to ordinary citizens as well, as we learn in this movie. And we must all do our part, and I think watching Inside Men is a great place to learn about it and learn about the dangers as well. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy this introduction to Inside Men, and if you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment.